help me? How many? Oops, I don't think so.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. By the time this video comes out, the sequel to the live-action Five Nights at Freddy's movie is only 5 days away. I still need to give the first movie a rewatch, considering it was kinda put on in the background during a Halloween party, so I can't really say if I liked it or not. But what can I say? The cast alone has me quite interested. I mean, come on. Megan Fox as Toy Chica.
We've finally escaped the shadows.
Matt Pat as Bonnie.
But, you know, it's just a theory.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see this movie. Who knows? Maybe we will put out a review once the movie comes out. In the last video we talked about FNAF, we went over the VHS tapes created by 12 Man, and boy were they disturbing to say the least. However, I saw in the comments some people telling me that I have to check out this other series called Fazbear Toddler Fun, so I thought why not? The movie is right around the corner, might as well return to this infamous restaurant and see what the series has to offer us. As it turns out, the series has been out for quite a while now, a whopping 5 years, with its latest entry coming out just about a year ago. Looks like I'm late to the party. Right off the bat, I'll let you all know that this is going to be a part 1 where we go through the first 3 entries, and then next Sunday we will go over the beefy latest tape. Interestingly enough, the series looks to take on a whole new style that I've never seen before in the world of FNAF, as in, it looks actually very kid-friendly, but I'm not letting that fool me into thinking we're in for an easy time. As always, be sure to check out the original series created by Agent P-Man 1 before diving in over here for us to visit the restaurant as a group. Party of 4, please. But without further ado, let's equip ourselves with our protective animatronic suit and head back into the disturbing world of Five Nights at Freddy's analog horror. But before I let you get too far, there's another piece of equipment that will be perfect in protecting us from the horrors that await us, and that is the sponsor of today's video, Manta Sleep. Perfect for getting that high-quality sleep we all strive for every night. These sleep masks come with adjustable eye cups to alleviate pressure and to ensure that no light is making its way through. 100% blackout. Perfect for people like me who love napping in the middle of the day. The gang over at Manta Sleep were kind enough to send me over a few of their masks to try out. My personal favorite has to be the Manta Sound Mask, which comes with these adjustable Bluetooth headphones on the side. Perfect for any background noise or music you wish to play while you sleep. The battery life is also 24 hours, so no need to worry about it losing power on you. However, if that's not important to you, they also have the weighted mask, steam mask, cool mask, and the best seller currently being the Manta Pro Mask. Be sure to pick your mask up soon because right now there is a Black Friday sale where you get 20% off if you spend $99, 25% off if you spend $149, and 30% off if you spend $199. Better yet, there will be a surprise product drop coming very soon. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to get your very own Manta Sleep Mask. And be sure to use the code 4PLUS at checkout to get 10% off your order. Once again, a huge thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring today's video. But anyways, now you can pass through. Fazbear Toddler Fun. Our entry begins and we are immediately hit with the nostalgic design of Windows Movie Maker. Sorry for not responding to you earlier, but here's my recording for the Fazbear game you recommended to me. Please respond to me as soon as you get this video. I need to know what this is. The screen goes black for a while until we get the Fazbear Entertainment logo, then a screen with text that just says Henry's message. I wonder if this is supposed to be a certain Henry Emily from the FNAF universe. We are then brought to the menu screen for a game called Fazbear's Toddler Fun. More text appears on the screen that just reads, I remember playing this for my dad only a few times. Don't remember much else except that I did some recording for it and tested some stuff too. The cursor hovers over each button before finally clicking play. We are brought into the game and the text then reads, Again, I didn't get to play much of this game, but I'll try to see if I can find what you said was here. We can see a building in the back, and to the left is a ball pit, while to the right is a couple balloons. Freddy then appears on screen, looking a lot different than we normally see him as. He looks a lot more kid-friendly and cartoonish. I can't imagine him going on a horrific killing spree. He welcomes us to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but there's just one problem. We need 2 tickets to get inside. The way we obtain tickets is to play the games that are behind him. Freddy then proceeds to Seth Rogen laugh before we then go to our next segment.
It should be easy, colorful fun.
We're now in the game and can see that the person playing the game says that they remember Balloon Boy's game, but not Bonnie's, before we select the ball pit to be our first game. Turns out this is Balloon Boy's game. You'd think he'd be the one with the balloons. Essentially, we get presented with 4 balls, and Balloon Boy tells us which color ball he needs, and then we click on that color. Uh-oh, this may be a little tough. First up, the green ball, and then next is the blue. After selecting the blue ball, however, the screen begins to freeze for a bit. Text then reads, "The game starts to get buggy after this." I know this game is unfinished, so that's to be expected, but it gets stranger than that. And let me tell you, that isn't wrong. It sounds like someone asked us for help, and Balloon Boy did not seem very happy.
You help me.
We are then taken back to the first screen, and we can see that now we have one ticket. Just one more to go. Next up is the balloon game, featuring Bonnie. The game works as follows. Bonnie calls out the color and the animal that you need to select, and then you select it. First up is the purple elephant, and then next is the yellow bear. However, the cursor begins to go a little haywire. I couldn't select the bear because the cursor glitched out. Then, this happens. We are then taken back to the menu screen. Something is wrong. We can see that under the title, the phrase, "The Missing Cake Chase," has now been changed to just "Missing." That can't be good. We then head back into the game, and everything looks a lot darker than before, and text then appears down in the bottom corner. Do you recognize me? I never left. I saw everything he did because of you. You hurt them, and you're here now. I can show you nice things. All yours. We are then taken to the censored photo, and I fear I know what exactly is being censored. Text then appears down at the bottom that is a little hard to make out, but I believe it says, "All of it is yours." The screen then flashes to black, and all we see is a silhouette of Bonnie that then goes into the shadows. Bonnie looking a bit more like their animatronic self, and then the tape ends. This has been quite the intriguing start. I like the design of everything so far. It matches with the name of the series. It makes for quite the contrast when it's time to get into the dark horrors, especially the censored photo of what I can only imagine is dead kids. It looked like once the game started to really glitch out, that Foxy was able to be seen in the distance. For a second, I thought it could be Springtrap, but I don't think that's the case. But why would Foxy be way out there and not a part of the crew? It's also clear that this game is haunted, potentially by one of the spirits within the animatronics, especially with how it was talking to the player of the game, which who knows if it just has us mistaken for someone else, but it definitely didn't seem like they liked us very much. Whoever was playing the game was recording this, however, for someone else. Hopefully, the future tapes give us some more answers. Toddler Fun Extended Section. The video begins, and we are still in the same game as before, with text reading, "Lance, email me as soon as you get this, please." At least we know who we're talking to now. Once back in the game, we can see that we now have 2 tickets, the required amount to be able to go inside. Once inside, Freddy comes back and welcomes us in. He tells us that we should get ourselves some pizza while we wait for the show to begin. But then Freddy sees Foxy off screen and calls him over, and Foxy certainly looks interesting.
I think I see Foxy coming this way right now.
After seeing Foxy without his head, we cut to this red screen where it looks like these glowing eyes getting closer to us. We are then returned to the building as we hear Foxy start to talk to Freddy, except we still aren't able to see Foxy. According to the text, something is wrong with the sprite. All Foxy is shown as is this PNG of a smiley face. Foxy and Freddy talk to themselves for a bit, Foxy wanting to go on an adventure, but Freddy saying that they have to perform a show first, which upsets Foxy a bit. Freddy then disappears as Foxy decides to arrange a scavenger hunt, and hides all the instruments needed for the show. Petty bastard. Freddy comes back and isn't happy that the instruments have been hidden, and asks for our help to find the instruments. We are told to talk to Bonnie, who is currently on a space adventure. Sounds fun. The game then begins, and instead of going to space, we go to Chica's garden, which looks to be a very peaceful place to be, I must say. We aren't there for very long, and the text on screen reveals that we had to cut out Chica's game. Apparently, it's too personal for us to want to discuss it. But nonetheless, we then proceed to the space adventure. We are met with Chica and Bonnie, who have their helmets on, and Bonnie is super excited about going to space.
And we're going to go to space, and we're going to see the aliens, and we're going to see planets, and we're going to see the sun, and we're going to see aliens, and we're going to see elephants.
Chica reminds us to put on our helmets, and we head off into the spaceship. I will say, for a bit there, the art style made me forget I was watching something scary, so that face behind the spaceship really caught me off guard. But we are now in space, and we end up coming across 3 aliens. Chica begins to ask a question involving the amount of aliens on screen, and our player ends up clicking the answer too fast for their liking.
You're right. Good eye. How many aliens? Oops, I don't think so. Why don't we try counting again?
Turns out he just had to let Chica finish her damn question, as she was going to ask how many aliens are wearing blue. The spaceship then moves past the aliens, and we end up meeting up with all the planets. Chica asks us to name her favorite planet, which turns out to be Neptune, and then the ship flies off. We then find ourselves face to face with a black hole. Bad news, but Chica has a plan: to bake 3 cupcakes to throw into the black hole to keep ourselves from getting trapped. However, that's supposed to work. But that was it for the space adventure, and we end up returning to Earth.
We went to space, and we went to see the aliens, and we went to see the planets, and we went to see the sun, and we went to see aliens.
We now have 3 tickets as we find ourselves back inside the building. Looks like our character was expecting to find an instrument, but oh well. The next game we go to is this small merry-go-round. We end up spinning it, and once it stops, a Chica plushie jump scares the screen. Our character seems to be confused as to why this is in the game, to which we then spin it again, except this time, the Chica plushie comes with a ticket. We return to the main room before going into the game Gift Surprise. Text then appears on screen that just says, "This next game looks unfinished," and had a different GUI. It still acted really strange though. Once we load in, it looks like we are looking at the clouds. Then this face appears, followed by text listing off different shapes. First, we hit the circle, but that's when the face disappears, and text comes up saying it's only us, followed by more text at the bottom that reads, "Do you see it? Us?" Well, I'm not too sure on that last word there. The game then cuts out, and we are brought out to the main room. "Lance, please respond to my email soon." I don't know what the fuck is happening, but I'm starting to believe something really is wrong with this game. It's not just the game itself either. I'll tell you more in your email. Please talk. We then find ourselves in the Fun Time Makeup Kingdom and can see Mangle in the center, and we have to hit the color they say aloud. We hit purple and then yellow before the screen cuts out and the word no is repeated. The screen cuts to black, and we are taken to a different part of the game entirely. We are brought to this segment called Joseph and the Big Scare, and it looks to be this storybook of some sorts. Long ago in a blue house lived a small little bear. Oh, I know this one.
Go get it your sorry ass self! Don't talk to me like that, bitch! Get out of my way, you piece of shit!
A bear named Joseph was the bear that lived there. He was friendly and kind, and he had no care. But one thing was certain, he was easy to scare. On his way to school, he would meet a bully named Mitch. Mitch was very, very rude, and he was one heck of a hitch. He would jump out the trees and scare Joseph as a trick. It scared him so bad, he ran off into the woods, and quick. What a dick. Poor Joseph ran and ran. He ran as fast as he could. He was too afraid to look behind, as all small bears should. He wondered if he had outran Mitch, that is, if he even could. But until then, he hid behind a stump that was in the middle of the woods. In the quiet, quiet woods, a nearby sound. This is when things begin to take quite the dark turn. You found me like you always do, but I know it's okay to be afraid. The screen then takes us back to the clouds. Let's look together. We then are met with the merry-go-round going faster and faster, before an error screen then comes on screen, with one of the mascots looking quite peculiar, and a very threatening warning at the bottom: hide. Before the tape ends, interestingly enough, if you have the captions turned on, we get another message that just reads, "Kind of a baby, isn't he?" Whatever that's supposed to mean. It was nice to get to see more of this game, finally heading inside the building and going through more of these little mini-games. It definitely seems like our player character is starting to experience things outside of the game as well, and whoever this Lance guy is hasn't been getting back to us. Perhaps after he sees this new footage, that will all change. I'm curious if the next 2 tapes are also going to take place inside this video game. I guess there's only one way to find out. Toddler Fun Safety First Film. Our tape opens up, and it appears we have been brought back to the Fun Time Makeup Kingdom, and it's Fun Time Foxy giving us all the instruments we needed from the last tape. Mission accomplished. Freddy returns and seems to be pretty happy to have the instruments back, and the show can now begin. All we need is a birthday cake now. However, this is when Foxy makes his return, and decides to cause even more problems by hiding the birthday cake. During this, Freddy ends up disappearing, and we get more text that just reads, "It's happening again." This game surely likes to glitch out a lot. Our segment then cuts out, and we see this birthday cake floating in the void. We end up returning to the scene, and Foxy says that we have to find him at the Pirate Cove if we want the cake back, and then we have to head to the long-lost Adventure Bay, as we see this image of Foxy flashing on screen. The whole scene begins to glitch out, and for a brief frame we can see someone's face in the pixels. However, we are then brought to this field, and it looks like Pirate Cove is right in front of us. but we also need to find Adventure Bay, to which Freddy recommends we look for a map to guide us. It looks like we are about to enter the cove, but we end up returning to the main menu. I'm not sure what prompted it, but our character decided to hold off and find something else to check out. We end up heading to the movies section of the game, specifically the Safety First category. It says that it is currently unavailable, and the cursor begins to glitch out before the chapter select loads in. We can see our cast of animated characters all around the screen. The tape we end up checking out is called Stranger Danger. Things start to take a strange turn at the park when the kids meet an unusual man who offers them a trip to a place where they could have quote-unquote endless amounts of fun at no price. Barry and Lily decide to give the stranger the benefit of the doubt, but they soon find themselves in a bad spot, and it's up to their friends Simon, Alice, and Tom to save them. Before watching the film, however, we go through and learn a bit about each character. Barry is the enthusiastic and brave one, Simon is the cool one, Lily is the youngest, Alice is the smartest. We then get this brief frame of what kinda looks like a cutout Foxy, and then Tom, who is the chill one. We then try and find that one ominous frame again, but it doesn't come back, leading us to playing the Stranger Danger film. We see the film was made by Fazbear Entertainment, and are met with a disclaimer that essentially says a child should not be watching this alone as it could be too much. Uh-oh, better find the nearest adult. The tape then starts and we are immediately met with our cast of characters hanging out by the bench.
"'Cause I was over on the bench!"
The group talks about school, complaining about the amount of homework they have to do. However, school is currently on break, and the group tries to figure out what they should do with their newfound free time. That's when this ominous stranger decides to show himself. And just like the description says, this creepy guy tells them about this place where there are no rules, games, and plenty of food to eat, and he offers to take us there. The group of kids go to talk privately, talking about how this is probably not the best idea, considering no one knows this guy. Barry is being completely stupid here, believing everything that the stranger is saying. The stranger gets impatient, and Barry straight up throws his friends under the bus and says that they will all be showing up. It's definitely not suspicious at all that the tall stranger told them to not tell their parents.
"Meet me behind the school tonight, and don't tell your parents where you're going. They'd hate to know how much candy you'll be eating."
Needless to say, the group is not very happy with Barry. He tells them that he just trusts people, and convinces them all to give it a chance. Not a wise idea. We cut to later in the night, with the gang showing up at Barry's house ready to head out to the stranger's location, and the group does not seem very excited to take part in this. Alice is especially worried about what her parents will think of her sneaking out, and rightfully feels like something is off. But again, Barry manages to convince them to go anyways. The footage then begins to glitch out a bit, and we are met with this frame of the blue sky, with purple text briefly appearing at the top. But it's so cut off that I for the life of me can't figure out what it's supposed to be saying. The gang then arrives at the school, and they all try to decide who should go in first. Alice stands in front of the doors, contemplating what to do, before ultimately deciding that she can't do it, and others are starting to agree with her. A lot of them actually, all except Barry and Lily, even though Lily seems to be a little hesitant. They try to convince the two of them not to go, but to no avail, leaving just Barry and Lily heading inside. Once they head inside, it's clear that they are the only two there. While Barry begins to ramble, Lily sees something off-screen that appears to shock her. She manages to get his attention, and it turns out that the creepy stranger is hanging out in the corner. He essentially insults their intelligence for believing the story they told, claiming there is no party, and that they aren't going anywhere. This rightfully freaks the two of them out. The door slams shut, and he tells them that there is no escape. This is when the audio begins to completely glitch out, leaving only the captions to tell us what's going on.
What are we gonna do? Wait.
Barry tries to use his cell phone to call the group for help. We see the rest of the gang as Alice's phone begins to ring, to which she thinks it's her parents getting ready to scold her. Turns out it isn't her parents, it's Barry. And that's when the screen then goes white, and we are met with the question, what should you do? We can then hear audio in the background that sounds like the kids talking about how they managed to save Barry and Lily. But based on what we see, I don't think that's the case.
I think it's safe to say my best buddy Barry's way better days.
Well, it's a good thing. I'm thinking just in time. But
The screen then goes white, and we are met with quite the interesting text. We've been watching you for a long time, Michael. We saw so much. Then the next thing we see is definitely creepy to say the least. I could have done something, but I was scared. I didn't want to be trapped too. I'm sorry. We are then met with a bunch of distorted crying faces of children. I did nothing, and I let them die. That's why I'm here for you, Michael. You took my life away. You ruined our family, and I won't stop reminding you until you truly understand, even if it means you'll never sleep again. More distorted faces then take up the background, as we hear these frightening screams in the back. We are then taken back to the chapter select screen, before we head back to the movie menu, and in the main menu. It appears that we then load back into the game, as we are once again facing Pirate Cove. Text on screen appears that says, "It's not letting me stop," before the tape then ends. Now that was certainly something to say the least. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Michael Afton is the one playing this FNAF Kids game, as we have had a couple instances now of whatever is haunting the game directly talking to him. They make it sound like he had something to do with whatever spirit resides in the game. Perhaps it is his brother who he stuffed in the mouth of Fredbear, aka the Bite of 83. Unfortunately, I also have a feeling that the Stranger Danger PSA ended a lot more graphically than initially believed. It made it sound like the rest of the gang went back and saved Barry and Lily, but I wouldn't be surprised if they all just wound up dead at the stranger's hand. And it doesn't take a genius to know that the stranger has to be William Afton. I mean, it straight up looks like he is wearing a purple suit and all in some of the frames. I gotta say, when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's analog horror, this one has certainly been the most unique in terms of its art style and story direction. I like the idea of it all taking place in this kid's game. It really adds a nice contrast to the cartoonish design and the horrific imagery. Funnily enough, a lot of people have said that the animation for the PSA looks a lot like Scott Cawthon's earlier works pre-FNAF. I am very curious to see what the next tape has in store for us. But like I said earlier, since it's quite the hefty entry, we're going to be saving that one for next week. I know, please put down your pitchforks. Think of it like this, however. By the time the next video comes out, you will probably have seen the live-action sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's, and it was either a great time or a dumpster fire. Who's to say just yet? But that'll probably be about it for this video. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the original series created by Agent P-Man to support the original creator. And be sure to keep on leaving me recommendations down below, whether it be in the YouTube comments or the community Discord. But if you'll excuse me, I got invited by this stranger to this cool party, and I'm pretty excited for the free food.